Hello, everybody. Welcome to ICFB Star Entertainment. We're really grateful that you could join us for this interview today. We're very grateful to have Jhonny Guest as our interview candidate for this morning and this evening or this afternoon, whatever time zone it is that you're in right now at this moment, because we're all over the map here. I'm from Canada A, so we're at 8 o'clock in the morning. Jhonny, what time is it for you?
Oh, it's mid-morning, so about 11 o'clock for me.
All right.
Yeah.
And we got our producer Marco on fearescape, and he's at 5 o'clock in Italy right now with us. So, yes, we're actually spanning many different time zones in the world right now, and also we're different continents. So, it's a continental interview.
That's pretty fun.
So, please welcome our guest, Jhonny Guest. Thank you very much for taking your time to interview with us and share a little bit about your musical journey with your listeners here.
Yeah, my pleasure to be here. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. So, first question, how'd you get started in music, Jhonny Guest?
Um, there's a lot of music in my house when I was growing up. My eldest sibling always had friends over playing guitar, playing country songs or Beach Boys songs or something like that. And so when I was just single digit age, just as I was harmonizing along and learning all these old tunes, 50s and 60s songs, and it was like the funnest thing to do. So when I was 10, I took some guitar lessons over a summer and didn't really take it super seriously, but by the time I was 12, I was starting a band.
Nice.
And, yeah, just fell in love with it, and it's just never left me. I've taken some breaks away from music here and there, but overall, I'm at this stage of the game. I'm grinding away at every chance I get. So.
Nice. Nice. You kind of grew up with music in your blood, so to speak.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. My parents loved country music, especially. My folks are from the southern states of the U.S., so Arkansas. And so I was raised with southern sensibilities, and but in the prison of Michigan winter, which I shouldn't complain if I'm talking to a Canadian, but
no.
I'm still probably gonna, because I'm solar powered and I need some sunshine and fewer gray days in my life. But,
yeah. Well, you know, us Canadians, we have really good skin. You know why? Because we spend half of the year in the refrigerator.
That's right. You're very preserved.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm from Canada, eh? So I'm from the West Coast. I'm from British Columbia. And Jhonny Guest, you are from?
I'm in Michigan.
Okay. What part of Michigan are you from?
I'm in Bay City, Michigan. So, if you've ever talked to anybody from Michigan, they'll say, "Well, I'm from right here."
Uh-huh.
And so this is Bay City right here. So
Is that close to the lake?
What's that?
Is that close to the lake?
Yeah. Yeah, we're very close to the Saginaw Bay, which leads up to Lake Huron.
Nice. So so of course Michigan is linked to Canada, by the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
So do you carry your passport when you're on a boat?
Uh, when I'm on a boat, I'm rarely on a boat. Usually I'm on a motorcycle.
Oh, how
Yeah.
fun is that? What kind of motorcycle do you ride?
Um, I have a 2024 Harley Davidson Road Glide.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah. It's an awesome machine. My wife rides too, so
Nice.
she's my partner in crime when it comes to traveling on two wheels.
What does your wife ride?
She's got a 2018 Heritage Classic.
Nice. That's a beautiful bike.
Oh, it's great. She loves it. I mean, we got it lowered and a different seat on it, so it's perfect for her now.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll be doing several trips this summer. Planning a big one out to Utah, and we're gonna ride the whole way. So
Nice.
it's gonna be pretty fun. We've done cross country before, so it's feeling like it's time. And there's a lot of beautiful things to see that inspire. And so
Yeah.
we're trying to go
I,
see all those things.
I ride a heritage myself, so I love the
Nice.
heritage. So yeah, it's just there's this feeling of flying and freedom when you're on a
Yeah.
bike, right? And it's
Yeah.
just oh, and then when you can connect with that bike and you can lean
Hmm.
in, you can just enjoy those turns and the
Hmm.
twists. It's just an amazing feeling. But
Yeah.
that's super cool that you ride with your wife, and it's super
Hmm.
cool too because it gives you enough space to bring your guitar, right? Was that
Uh,
was that her motivation to ride her own, or was it another motivation to ride her own?
um, well, so it was funny. The first year she rode behind me,
Hmm.
she's 5'2" and I'm 5'8", and our heights are just right for her to not be able to see anything on the back of a motorcycle. And so since she grew up around him, because her dad always had motorcycles, so
Right?
she's like, I think I'm ready for my own bike. And at the time, I had a little dirt bike, and we put all the racing gear on her, padded her up, and had her ripping around the backyard no time. And she got her permit and found a sweet little Yamaha road bike and rode behind me. We had communicators, so I coached her through every intersection, every road hazard, traffic light, all that stuff. And I mean, 5, 6 years later now, she's one of the best riders that I've ridden with. She's
Nice.
super confident but never overly so. And very, very safe, but can handle anything. It's pretty. It's really great. We love
Yeah, you gotta love the throttle, but not too much.
it. Yeah, yeah.
There's a fine line. It's got to be a balance. You got to love it. You got to be confident, but you also have to be respectful.
Yeah. Well,
Because think,
physics cannot be argued with. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, exactly. You want to straighten your bike up, you got to give it more gas and give it a little rev, right?
Unless that back wheel's spinning.
Uh, you get into this interesting point between the rev, the brake,
Mhm.
and carrying through, right?
Yeah.
And if it's spinning, the best thing to do is power it out. Give it. When in
Well,
doubt, when in doubt, wind it out.
Sure.
All right, let's get back to music here.
Okay. Yeah, we could
I could,
talk motorcycles all day.
I could talk motorcycles all day long.
Hmm.
I love a big engine and I love riding a motorcycle. I just really adore that freedom. It's so nice. It's such a mind break from everything. You can just go out
Hmm.
and be free, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And the best rides in the whole world are the ones where you pack and you go,
Yeah.
and you have no idea where the road's going to take you.
It inspires a lot of songs for me.
Yes,
I
definitely.
can tell you that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
One of them is unreleased right now, but we've recorded it. The last trip down to Nashville, we did 4 songs with Ken Royster,
Okay.
great producer. He's a producer, an engineer, and vocal coach all in one guy. He's just a powerhouse kind of guy to work with, and so he coached us all up in really surprising ways. Like we thought we were ready. We thought we had the songs just right and everything. We rehearsed a lot on 4 songs in the barn, and we get down there, and he's getting familiar with them, and he makes so many subtle suggestions and things that it winds up being a whole different animal by the time you add it all together.
Nice.
And yeah, one of the songs though is the chorus is pack a bag, start it up, and grab a gear.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, for me, I mean, it was a moment in my life when I was
Yeah.
kind of at my wit's end. And so when I sing this song live, I tell folks, like, if you've ever been so fed up with something that it was either go for a ride or commit a felony, then the song's for you.
Yeah,
go,
definitely,
go for
definitely.
that ride. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the tagline is, you don't have to know where you're going before you leave. Yeah.
Absolutely. Those are the best rides. I love those rides. Like I grew
Yeah.
up on a motorcycle. My dad had a motorcycle, and my uncle had a
Right.
motorcycle. I was always on the back.
Yeah.
And then here in Canada, we're allowed like so I guess I was like maybe 10 or 11. I was allowed to ride a dirt bike in the campsites. Oh my gosh. And,
Hmm.
I a straight A student, right?
Hmm.
Totally clean, totally clean, blah, blah, blah. They gave me this dirt bike and they said, go play in the puddles. And I said, but I'll get dirty. And they're like, well, you might have fun. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to get dirty. But guess
Yeah.
what? I went through the mud puddles. I had mud everywhere and I had the best time of my
Yeah.
life. And,
Yeah.
from that moment on, I just loved going through the mud puddles and I loved riding. And my sister would jump on the back because she wasn't really old enough to ride her
Mm.
own, right? So
Yeah.
she'd ride on the back and she'd be like, when we first did it, she was like screaming, she was scared. The second time it was like, oh, this is fun. And then by
Mhm.
the third time, she's like, go
Yeah.
faster, go faster, right?
Yep. As soon as you realize we didn't die that time, let's do it
Yeah, yeah,
again.
yeah, yeah, yeah. My
Yeah.
uncle, he took me out on the bike and he's like, okay, now if I go slow, look how wobbly the bike is, right? If I give it the gas, see how it goes over everything, right?
Hmm.
And so, yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
we're back on motorcycles again. We should get back to music.
Mm. Could be difficult.
But the one thing is that if you ride motorcycles, the one thing about riding motorcycles that we grew up as a kid is like, if you ever get lonely in your life or you're divorced or going through life change and you feel lonely, learn how to ride a motorcycle because you make a whole bunch of new friends that you never knew that you missed.
You do. And you don't run out.
You don't run out of friends,
No.
right? Yeah, yeah, I love motorcycles.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so going back to music here,
Hmm.
I know that you started in music, you said from a very young age, that your family was involved. You got the Beach Boys and kind of
Hmm.
country origins. Um, Tell us a little bit more about the music industry for you. What is your greatest passion about the music industry?
Industry wise, I spend most of my time live performance. And in my particular market, there's a little bit of opportunity to play original music only, but not much.
Okay.
Um, so we've kind of adapted to that. Um,
Mhm.
and we'll have like an original showcase. So if we put a show together with some other original bands that are doing what
Yeah.
we're doing, um, like we had a show back in February with Attaboy and Billy Gunther and the Midwest Writers and fabulous bands.
Nice.
And and it took about a year to get it together, but in a local theater, with great sound and
Yeah.
everything. So you could provide a really cool experience for music lovers in the area. And
Nice.
for the first time out with it, it did pretty good. So that's an original show, all originals, no covers is what we like.
Hmm.
Um, and then we have a cover band, and this cover band is a Swiss Army knife of sorts. So like last night, I just did a solo performance up north at a resort.
Okay.
Tonight, or 2 nights ago, I played with my drummer in acoustic format at a little speakeasy. Uh,
Nice.
and then the restaurant last night, and then tonight we're at an Indian restaurant, and we're doing an acoustic trio. So it kind of
Fun.
depends on the budget, like this is the dynamic that I feel like we have to adapt to in order to be in the music industry on the live side. So, but that trio can go acoustic or electric. Um,
Nice.
and the fun thing is, like with modern technology, my band we don't have to be over 95 decibels.
Hmm.
And it sounds like the record. I mean, it sounds fabulous. Every instrument sounds great. Um, so it's what I'm trying to do is change my local live um, music industry because so many bands are stuck in 1970s technology. I mean, tube amps are amazing, and
Hmm.
acoustic drums sound killer, but they're 110 decibels. And nobody wants it. And for live music in most places, like more places would want to have a band if they could come in at 95 decibels. So this is something I'm passionate about recently.
Hmm.
Um, and I've had good conversations with a few bands, and more bands are adopting this.
Hmm.
There you go, electronic drums that sound good, not like everybody thinks of electronic drums as being like these plastic Casio keyboards things, and that's not the case anymore.
Well,
Uh,
that was the case
you
in the
know,
80s and the 90s,
well, it
so I
was, it
understand
was.
where
They've
you're
come
coming
so
from.
far,
Oh, yes,
yeah.
definitely.
So I won't brand name drop, but
No, no.
there's some great options out there.
Yeah.
Uh,
And even the pianos too, right? Like the pianos,
yeah.
they've come a long way,
Oh
right?
man, yeah,
Know, a good digital
yeah,
keyboard with hammer weighted keys can be an amazing thing if you're in an
yeah,
apartment or something like that, right?
absolutely, yeah.
But,
So yeah, live
truthfully
music.
speaking, there's nothing like the real thing, right?
Well, so there's times where we find ourselves on a big enough stage to bring the acoustic drums and amps,
Yeah,
and it's really fun too. We still love
yeah,
it.
exactly.
I love getting feedback on a long held note.
Yay!
Get it singing, you know. But if I take that energy into a 10 by 10 spot for a band in one of our favorite venues, and it's all brick walls and hard floors and lots of reflection, and you're facing right at the bar, and as soon as you start, and then the servers can't hear anything, they're like, what, then you're doing it wrong, in my opinion. Though, after going to the quiet side, it's like, man, this is amazing. so
Well,
so I'm
yeah,
hoping more bands will adapt that, and then more venues
you bring an
will,
interesting
you know
point to the table here, is that the servers are going, wait a second, I can't hear your order, right?
yeah,
And you gotta respect the fact that the servers are working for the restaurant and the restaurant is paying you, right?
yeah, yeah.
So, if and the customers, well, if the customers can't communicate with the server, are they connecting with
Mhm.
each other at the establishment, right? And
Yeah.
what is music really meant to be? It's meant to be about connections, right?
Connections, and if you drive people away because your drummer's too loud,
Yeah,
like if you start and six tables get up and move further away from you,
that's a
who are you
sign,
helping?
right?
So, yeah. Yeah,
Definitely.
that's kind of where I am. So that's a passion project of mine. My intention is to open up more opportunity for bands, for full
Hmm.
bands in
Okay.
my area, because if more bands adopt this, then more venues would say, well, we could do a quiet band. We have the budget for a quiet band, but
Yeah.
not a full-on rock production.
Well, please. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so I think that you've told us a lot about your vision of where you want to see the music industry in Michigan. Tell
Mhm.
us a little bit about the vision of the music that you write for Johnny Guest, your original musics, your original songs.
Sure. Well, I've over the years, I've done a couple of full-length albums, and
Okay.
when I was, oh, we're talking in the 90s, I've been around. I got some mileage on this chassis, if you know what I
There's
mean.
nothing wrong with
Um,
that.
but back in the 90s,
I respect your parents.
I was writing songs about finding yourself, coming of age, and dreaming about chasing your dreams. A lot of that, a lot of that. And I never really, they never really materialized the way I thought they would.
Okay.
Um, because when I was 12, I wanted to have a family and be a
Mhm.
professional musician. And those two things, they don't do this, they're more like this. And so I've found ways to compromise and achieve both.
Yeah.
And um, it really meant that I had to stay in my local music market and
Right.
find ways of doing that. So, you know what? I became a music instructor. I led
Okay.
worship. I did all kinds of things, all
Nice.
music related,
Okay.
solo, acoustic, full band, all different iterations of ways a person could earn some income and support the family. And, then I worked for other employers too. Uh, one big one that's based in Midland that shall not be named, but They broke up with me recently, so I'm back to being fully self-employed. Uh,
Mm,
so it's been interesting. We kind of saw it coming, so we're pretty well prepared for it. But
good.
yeah, the last year has been quite a grind when it comes to music. Last summer, so typical for me is I'm trying to book Fridays and Saturdays for the next year and say the
Hmm.
fall. So this coming fall, I want all of my weekends booked for 2026, let's say. But
All right.
then there's some places that want entertainment on Thursdays or Sundays or whatever. So I wound up having like several 5-night runs,
Okay.
and most bands would be like, well, that's a tour. I'm like, no, I go home every night.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
go, so it's not, I can't call it a tour, right? Like I'm not sleeping anywhere other than my own house. So it doesn't count. But
Well,
you know,
that's the best
but
place to be is home, right?
oh well, yeah, it is. Truth be told. But, um, with the business of last year, I'm kind of refocusing going forward, and the band has gotten so much better, and we've refocused on a lot of country, um,
Okay.
a lot of party country, I call it. So it's all the fun stuff,
Nice.
nothing depressing.
Yay.
Although I love all kinds of country music, but
So
it's
your wife is still at home. You still have your dog, and you still
yeah.
got your pickup truck. Okay.
My truck has never run away, believe it or not. Yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Yay.
yeah. So it's refocusing a bit, and um, we're loving it. We're loving the reaction we're getting from playing these fun country songs and mixed with some classic rock that makes sense. Like
Mm,
the John Mellencougar and Tom Petty, and I mean all that stuff kind of fits right into
it
to
really does.
country. I think it, we call it Rust Belt country.
Rust Belt country. I like
Rust Belt
that.
country, yeah, just because it's got a little harder edge than Nashville country. Nashville country right now, I don't know. I don't know. There's some good songs coming out, and the writing is stellar. The lyrics are always stellar, but it's and every 5 years, Nashville gets really formulaic, and that's how it's hitting me lately. Some of the new stuff coming out. Um,
It's always great to have your own original sound and your own
yeah.
original soul of a band, right? And if you're working with people that you work with for a long time, there's just a natural progression of your songs, your lyrics, and the way that you put them
Mm,
together.
yeah.
So, what would you say would be the biggest secret of your music? What really inspires you and drives you?
Man, for me, there's I don't know if everybody's like this, but for me, I have this deep foundational yearning in my
Okay.
soul,
Uh-huh.
and I find myself writing about that a lot, and so I try to make it less secret, but it's there always.
Nice.
I've been writing around the topic for a long time, and I'm trying to write straight at it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it I think it really is coming to focus in a song I'm writing about a childhood best friend who died when we were 16, and I met him when we were 4, and we were inseparable immediately, and yeah, so we had all these crazy adventures together. Like we grew up in the feral generation, you know. I don't know about you, but for me, being a Gen Xer means like 90% of my life was unsupervised when I was a kid.
Yes. Yes, we liked that, didn't we?
It was
Yes.
great. It was great. I would come home
Yeah.
muddy and
Yeah.
bloody,
Yeah.
and you know,
Yeah.
I wasn't talking, I'm no
Yeah.
stool pigeon. So,
Yeah, yeah. Go
you
get
know,
lost and come back before
yeah,
the go get lost and come back before the traffic lights or the street lights turn on, right?
yeah. Well,
Because that's where dinner
yeah,
is. Yeah,
that's what my mom always said. So,
yeah.
but I tease her when I tell people about my mom, because at my shows, I talk about my mom a lot. She's still with us, and she's still feisty, and she carries a wooden spoon in her purse with my name on it at all times. So
Jhonny, be good.
I gotta fear that tiny Southern woman.
Definitely,
But,
definitely. Never mess with the
yeah,
tiny Southern woman with a wooden spoon in their hand or in their
yeah,
purse.
yeah. I've seen her shoot a gun too. Yeah. Anyway,
So
with
you're
her,
talking a
yeah,
little bit about your childhood friend. Do you mind if I ask what happened to him?
yeah. Oh, it was very silly. So, he and I rode bicycles everywhere. We wore out countless bicycles in
Okay.
Michigan summers, which is like 3 months long, right? That's all you get.
You got to make the most of
And
it.
yeah, and so it was high mileage every day. He and I lived probably a mile from downtown Midland, and
Okay.
downtown Midland at the time had a lot of railroad tracks and trains.
Oh no.
And oh, no, 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 I'll get there. Don't don't assume. It's fine. We used to
Okay.
we used to climb up on the trains and run along the tops and jump cars and stuff. Not when they were moving, they were all parked in this rail yard.
Hmm.
And we had the blast, just a great time until somebody saw us, and we'd have to boogie out of there. But um,
Run.
you know,
It wasn't me.
uh, yeah, yeah. Oh, it was definitely me, but it was before the internet, so you
Wasn't
can't
it?
prove it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Early
there's
age.
no Facebook back then. So
Thank goodness, right? Oh my gosh, I
yeah,
don't know if I could handle all the Facebook stories.
no, no, yeah.
Oh,
So
what? Yeah.
anyway, so he we didn't go to the same school, um, but he wound up getting into BMX racing, um, and I was 15. He just turned 16, and he was doing like a little stunt or something on this short brick wall downtown. It was kind of like a bench made out of brick, and
Okay.
no helmet, and he messed up the stunt coming off of it and hit his head on the pavement and had brain damage and didn't survive it. And so that, I mean, that broke my heart. I remember at that age, 15-year-old boy is like, in their own mind, the toughest person ever, right? They're trying to be the toughest person ever, and it just broke me. I remember leaving the funeral, the back of my mom's car. My dad was there, and they were divorced, but they were there for me. Um, and I just bawled. I just bawled all the way home. It really broke me, and so for years since, I mean, I visit his grave, and we have little catch ups. And when my sons were born, I took them to his grave and talked about him, and I wanted them to know that life is precious and we
Hmm.
have to care for it, you know.
That's right.
Um, so sometimes, like, take a calculated risk, you know,
Yes.
but don't be blind to it, because that's my dad always
Right.
told me, like, he was a boxer and he taught me how to box, and he'd always
Okay.
say it's the one you don't see coming that's going to knock you out.
Always.
And so that kind of stuck in my mind.
I'm
um,
really sorry for your
yeah,
loss, John. Like,
well,
really,
thanks.
thank you
Yeah,
for sharing that. I appreciate
sure,
it.
sure.
Sometimes I think God gets lonely and he wants to call some of the best people back from company,
Sure, yeah, he's always
right?
looking for more friends. Yeah.
Always looking for more
um,
friends. Yeah.
yeah, so the song, I've attempted to write about him in our childhood several times, and nothing really sounded the way it needed to. And so I finally stumbled onto the right chords and the right feel and melody, and it's called "The Freedom I Remember." And
Beautiful.
yeah, it's really talks about the adventures we would have,
Hmm.
and I'm attempting to say, to paint like that place, that emotional place,
Hmm.
by just what we were able to do. as kids,
Yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah. When we really grew up in a good time, didn't we, Johnny?
Most of us have evaded it. You know.
Do you remember that movie, Smokey and the Bandit?
I love I love all those movies.
with the
I've made my
with
wife
the
watch them
Trans Am and
so many times.
the
Yeah.
run of beer, right?
Oh yeah.
And they were so bad. And I
Mhm.
look at that now and I'm thinking, my goodness, they could almost be saints compared to what we see on TV nowadays,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
But at
Yeah.
that time, I thought they were so naughty. They were so bad, right?
Mm,
They were running beer and beer was
mm,
illegal, right?
yeah. 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 It's pretty interesting. Yeah.
I love that.
That my
I love that
my
movie.
I do too. My wife is like, no, we're not watching that again. Just because it's on Netflix all over again doesn't mean we're watching it again.
I even had a
Uh,
Trans Am.
you did?
I
Wow.
did. Yeah.
So cool.
Well, I didn't have it. My mom had it. My mom was single mom, right?
Mm,
And so I took auto mechanics in high school so I could learn how to fix her car, right? Because
nice.
I wanted to borrow the car.
Yeah.
It
It's
was
got to
super
be
sweet.
running.
It was gold. It was gold on gold. So the gold and no like no big fire chicken on the front or anything like
Yeah.
that. It was 78
So,
Firebird, and it
okay.
had the jacked up, air shocks in the back and the massive tires and stuff like that. Ah,
Fun.
it was such a sweet car. But I never told anybody this little tiny secret, right? Because I always looked very innocent. But there was a secret with that car. It was a 305 on top, and it was a 350 below.
Oh, nice. All right.
Because remember
Nice.
back in those days when you could reconstruct a car, right?
Oh, yeah.
Um, there was a Chevy 350 big block underneath the Pontiac 305 on top. You pop the hood, it looked like
Mm-hmm.
a 305.
Uh-huh. Sure.
But
Yeah.
it's not.
That'd run out nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
kinds of fun.
Yeah, you betcha, right? Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah. So, what would you? I'm going to go back to music again here. We're back
Hmm.
into cars and motorcycles, and I feel like we could have a really good conversation about muscle cars and motorcycles and
All day long.
bicycle riding and all the rest of that kind of good stuff, right?
Hmm.
But what would you consider to be the greatest success and the biggest learning moment of your music career?
Uh, the greatest success would be um, I I played a last minute solo show outside last summer,
Okay.
and it was overcast and it's about 60 degrees, and they were just starting up this music series, and I was invited like last minute. Hey, somebody backed out. Can you do this?
Mm-hmm.
Sure. So there's no promotion, no advertisement, no nothing, and nobody showed up. But I'm going through. I'm like, well, I'm gonna just work on my own stuff here until somebody shows up. And the last song I played there, well, there was a couple tables of folks who were enjoying the music after a while, um, and I played "Flowers Do,"
Oh,
and
nice.
that's a song about my sister's short battle with cancer, and um, and how she, I don't know, she was my hero always, and she went out with such strength and grace, and definitely something to aspire to. So I played that song. It was my last song for the night, and as soon as I was done, um, the lady walks over, and I realized how powerful a song like that can be. She said that the day before they just buried her brother-in-law, who had been there under their care for 6 months as he was slowly passing away from cancer. He was
Nice.
unable to care for himself. And so I've never felt as a songwriter more successful than playing for these two people and then sitting down for an hour and talking about the last 6 months of their lives.
Wow.
And,
That just sent chills down my spine. That
and
was,
I mean,
yeah.
I'll is whatever we judge success by. But for me, that, in that moment, I was 100% successful. And I do play that song. Um, and it made me realize, like, everybody has a cancer story. Everybody knows someone afflicted, themselves or a family member or a friend or whatever. So we're a whole lot more connected than we'd like to believe, when it comes to that.
To connect deeply on an emotional level with the people that you're there with. I mean, that's when time stands still, and the moment in the breath,
Mhm.
and the moment with people.
Yeah.
That's what music's all about. How did we lose that?
Music is a product now. So, yeah. So used to be
Music is
sorry, there's a bit of a
music is a
delay
great.
there, but music used to be a
Sorry.
way to tell stories and to keep from losing family history,
Hmm.
and so these songs were handed down generation to generation. And you'd know yourself by the songs your family would sing together.
Absolutely. That's a very Native Indian experience, because that's how we pass down all of our stories in the Native Indian
Mhm.
community, right?
Yeah.
And that was our wisdom, and we would sing it with everybody around, right? And there's a very special thing that happens when you sing the song, right?
Mhm.
It becomes part of you, like a little piece
Yeah.
of you, right?
Mhm.
So if you're able to write a song that you can share with somebody, and it changes everything for them in that moment, that's real, that's genuine. That I salute you. That's a massive success. Congratulations, John.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. There's another half of your question I'm forgetting.
Ah, what was your learning moment?
Hmm.
Your greatest learning moment, music?
Um, the greatest learning moment is that, as far as value goes, um, a song is worth what someone will pay you for it, like selling a used car. It's a commodity, and the more of it there is, the less demand there is for it.
Mhm.
So that was kind of a smack upside the head as a young songwriter
Yeah.
with dreams of, this what success was supposed to look like based on the magazines I was reading at the time. Like, this looks like success to me, but
Yeah.
in reality, like, um, how many "where are they now" stories do we need to realize that the people who dedicated their youth to their music 100% didn't wind up with a diversified portfolio of income producing assets, and it doesn't really sustain a life necessarily. We always hope for that, but it doesn't. I guess my learning was it doesn't have to. It
Hmm.
doesn't have to. We can satisfy our souls,
Mm-hmm.
share with others, and do everything music was supposed to do, and never make a dollar. And it's okay. It is totally okay, because I think Rick Rubin captures this pretty good. It's the making of the art that is success.
It is. Yeah.
You
I
know?
like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Now I'm gonna go back and say, well, if you could give yourself some advice,
Mm.
and you could go back in time, what
Mhm.
advice would you give to yourself 20 years ago, knowing what you know now?
Let me think. 20 years ago. 20 years ago. Hmm. 20 years ago, I was having my second kid.
Okay.
And so I'm debating to answer this question with like parental advice or
Whatever advice you feel
something
like you want to
else.
share with us, it's up
I,
to you. That's your
uh,
question. It's your interview.
yeah, I,
If it's
um,
parental.
yeah. Well, I stopped a lot of my musical endeavors when my kids were born.
Mm,
Became stay-at-home dad for a couple of years, till they got into school full time.
good job.
And I cherish that time, and I wouldn't have done it any different way.
Yeah.
Um, even though, like, once kids grow up, it's like they kind of take that for granted. It's not really part of their consciousness anymore,
No.
you know.
No.
But with looking back 20 years ago, if I had to focus on one thing, it'd probably be the music industry advice, and it would be um, to write what you want to hear.
Okay.
And if you're going to play for people, understand you're there for them. You're
That's
not you're not
beautiful.
there for yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not. Now I know I don't go to a live show for myself. And it's not, there are plenty of days, like I play so often that there's plenty of days where I just don't have it in me, I feel like. And
Mm-hmm.
I let's go, let's lift these heavy things and connect 6,000 cables, let's do this. And I turn around and there's people there and they're eager and receptive.
Yeah.
And it reminds me, oh, I'm here for them. I'm here to get them out of their doldrums. And there's a scripture.
Mm-hmm.
It is refresh and you shall be refreshed also. Something like that, paraphrasing.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that so true in so many days of my life as a performer, is I'm there for them. Um, and for me, like what I'm kind of chewing on these days is I know I'm there for them, but as a writer, I I receive the songs that I'm meant to receive, and some
Mm-hmm.
of them are very selfish, um, because they're filtered through my brain. But that's what God wants. I think He's given me these ideas and the creative ability to create, and
It's a
so
blessing. Yeah.
it's a blessing.
Yeah.
But like, and I had this conversation with one of my an awesome songwriter, Matthew Perryman Jones. We had this conversation
Mm-hmm.
recently, and I asked him. I was reflecting. I'm like, I don't find myself writing many celebratory songs, like things that are just happy, celebratory. But I'm a happy person, and his take was like, well, I would have to be feeling that in order to write it. Um, and or it's not authentic, and it has to be authentic.
It
You know?
does. It does. And country music, it always comes with a bit of a twist, doesn't it? Like
Mm, yeah.
there's the story and then there's the twist and then you feel better, right?
Yeah, you like to, but some songs that I love are just like good time, happy songs.
Yeah,
You know?
there are some good fluffy songs.
Yeah.
Sometimes fluff
Um,
is good.
yeah. Yeah, the fluffy, not you're not getting into the lyrics, all that deep.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm somewhere in between, I guess. Like
Yeah.
I
It,
need a little bit of grit and depth in
yeah.
lyrics to feel satisfied with them.
Yeah.
You know, some sort of um,
Some
arc
pain
with
point.
attention to it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so the next song that's coming out is a good example of that. It's called "Rubber Meets the Road,"
Nice.
and it's really talking about my seasonal depression. So early on in our conversation today, I was talking about how Michigan goes without the sun for 9 months out of the year. And for me, I'm solar powered. Really, I need to be outside and in the sun. And, seasonally depression, I feel it coming in the autumn. Like I used to look forward to the colors changing, and now I know what's coming after that. And it's hard to get excited, and it's got to dig deep sometimes. But um, with that song, it's really about not being able to live in the way you want or where you want, not
Hmm.
being in the emotional place you want for so long, and it's finally here. Now you can finally do it. And that's where the rubber meets the road, It's like you find out about yourself when
Yeah.
you finally get there.
Yeah. I love that. That sounds like it's going to be a killer song where the when the rubber meets the road, right?
We're
Just
loving it. We're
it
absolutely
just
loving it.
motorcycle, doesn't it?
Well, it does. I try to shy away from motorcycle specific stuff because I love a good car ride too, and most people have cars,
Mhm.
So I want it to be a little bit generic. But
Good job.
if you ride, you'll be like, oh, yeah, definitely about motorcycles.
Yeah. Yeah. But never underestimate the car vacation, the family vacation, right? Where you put the kids in the back and
Absolutely.
Daddy, are we there yet?
Yeah, yeah. Plenty of great memories doing
So
that. Yeah.
how many kids do you have now, Johnny? You and your wife?
So I have two. My wife has four, and I've claimed them all for my own.
Six
So
kids.
so
How many
six.
girls?
Yeah.
How many boys?
Well, so me being a dad of two sons, I thought I wouldn't never really have daughters, at that point. So my two stepdaughters are sweet as all get out, and um, man, I just love on them much as I can.
Nice.
Yeah, they're growing, and
Yeah.
one's in college, one's heading to be married, and it's like they're blossoming and doing well. I love to see it. So,
So you've got two sons, two stepdaughters, two stepsons.
well, you're good at math. Yeah,
There you go.
yeah, yeah, um, yeah, and it's really difficult to have a blended family where everybody gets along, but um, I think it speaks of the quality of all the people in our little family
Hmm.
that everybody gets along and roots for each other, and it's pretty cool. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah,
Congratulations, Johnny.
yeah. Thank you.
Congratulations to you and your wife and your family. Congratulations. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing all of that information with us. We really appreciate it. Yeah. Um, and thank you for sharing everything about the motorcycles. Now we're going to switch hats a little bit
Okay.
and we're going to have some fun. Okay.
Okay. I'm ready.
So we're going to talk about what entertains you, right?
Mm, okay.
Let's talk about Johnny a little bit. All right. Do you speak any other languages?
Um, I not fluently. I had a couple of years of French in high school and really enjoyed that. Back
That's
then, I was able to read some books in French
yeah.
and comprehend them. That was really fun. Um, as an adult, I didn't really have opportunity to keep those skills sharp. But
Well, you have to have somebody to speak French with.
yeah,
And it's always easier to slip back into English, isn't it, when it's your
oh
native
yeah,
tongue?
oh yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I never quite lost the ability or that. It's like you got to picture the sentence structure and the words, and then you say what the answer to the question is or whatever. I always had
Yep.
to kind of quick translate it in my brain and then go from there. But
Nice.
I love language, and I love how if you look at Spanish and Italian and French, and there's some root words in common.
The romantic languages,
Oh
yes.
man, it's so
Yes.
neat. It's so neat. I love that. Yeah.
They're all rooted in Greek and Latin. And
Mm-hmm.
so, those root words are just beautiful because, you can take one word and it can mean the same thing, but
Mm-hmm.
just it's just slightly differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
la tentation, right? Or la tentation, right? the temptation. It's the same
Mhm.
word in Spanish, Italian, and French.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm saying tentation correctly for Italy or for French, but in Spanish, it's tentation, right? And the accent is on the on,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, um, I love that
Hmm.
about languages that really they're different, but really they're all rooted in the
Yeah.
same thing, right? And so the Romance languages are so beautiful, and it's so cool because you can switch from Italian to French to Spanish easy,
Hmm.
but English. Where did we come up with these words? I don't know. Some of the hardest language to speak is English.
Uh-huh. It's true, and it doesn't have to make sense.
It doesn't have to. No,
That's
no.
the only rule. Yeah, you get used to it, I guess. But yeah,
When in doubt, make
yeah,
it up. So, have you predominantly lived in the United States for all of your life?
yes, yeah.
Have you lived anywhere else in the world or just in the States?
Not in the world. No, just in the States. Born in Michigan, but like I said, my folks are from Arkansas. So, when they divorced, my dad and I moved to Arkansas for about a school year or something. Because
Hmm.
he really thought he needed to be in his hometown again.
Yeah,
And so we went back to Jonesboro. And it was great to see all the family, like the cousins and stuff that I rarely got to see. But
yeah.
I really missed my mom and my friends and stuff. And so he wound up moving
Nice.
back. You know, so never really got away. I for in 1995, I did a
Uh-huh.
road trip because I love road
Yes.
trips. Um, drove straight through to cruise control,
All right.
just so you know. So yeah, this and it
Okay.
was only for a weekend. It was really crazy. It's like Thursday night, hop in the
Nice.
car, drive until we get there.
Yeah.
And your brain, when you drive like that, your brain doesn't know what to do. Because I was laying there on an alligator floaty in this pool, looking at the Texas sky, and it's like, how the heck did I get here? Your brain, if you don't sleep that long, then weird things start going on upstairs. It's just kind of strange. But anyway, so I almost
Hmm.
moved to Austin, Texas. Had the money saved up. I was going to go to the college, and then things started kind of percolating back home. And so I just rode that out.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're going to watch a movie, are you going to watch it at home or are you going to go out?
Well, so we love to go to the movie theater, but
Okay.
most of the time we don't spend the $70. Most time we're
Yeah.
on the couch at the house, and
Yeah.
uh, we love popcorn. I discovered I have a gluten allergy, and it turns for me it turns into asthma really bad.
Oh,
I was on like 4 medications,
okay.
and my doctor who diagnosed me said you're in the top 10 of all of my cases easily. Well, come to find out, it's a gluten allergy.
Yeah.
And so in the last year and a half or so, I was on like a restriction diet, just nothing processed, and it
Hmm.
asthma went away. And I only realized it because I did a trip to Nashville, and I left all my medicines at home, and I
Okay.
had no flare-ups and no issues. It's crazy.
No.
Anyway,
Nice.
so I make a lot of popcorn, is what I'm saying.
Really
So we have a lot
like
of movie nights at the house.
nice. Okay. So if you're going to select one of these medias, what would be your choice? TV, a theater, a concert, a bar, or karaoke?
TV, a concert, a bar, or karaoke. Are those my four?
Yes. TV, theater, concert, bar, or karaoke?
Not karaoke. And here's the funny thing: I don't hang out in bars. I work in bars, often. So I really don't feel a huge need to go hang out unless I'm getting dinner or something like that.
Right?
Um, I would say a theater because I just never get to go.
Nice.
Working too
Yeah.
much. So I would definitely do a theater.
Okay. Cool. All right. If I was going to ask you who your favorite artist was in terms of music, what would be your favorite genre and artist of all times?
Of all time, man, it'd be hard to get past Tom Petty.
Hmm. He's
Mhm.
great. I love his stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He is multiple genres, really, when you get down to it, and the span of his career and the approach he could take on any song could, they could make it rock, it could be country, it could be whatever you wanted. And that
Hmm.
flexibility really appeals to me. It's to me like a genre of music is just a mood.
It really
And
is. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
because as a writer, like sometimes you want it to rock out, and sometimes you need it to be a
Chill
lullaby,
out.
whatever.
Yeah.
Um, although, like the purists that only work in one genre,
Yes.
they really get down to the nitty gritty and winds up being very authentic. And who comes to mind there is like Chris Stapleton.
Hmm.
Um, he's very much entrenched into his brand of country music, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And really it resonates with me because it's a lot of guitar, it's instruments played by real people.
Yeah.
They record their albums like in one take, all in everybody in a room. So it's pretty phenomenal stuff.
That is pretty phenomenal stuff. So, art. I'm going to ask you about art now.
Okay.
Um, would you prefer painting, photography, metal art, structural art, or art about nature?
Is this when you say do I prefer when
Do you
do
like?
you mean like on the consumption side or the creative side?
Now, there's a good question. How about both?
Okay.
Do you,
Um,
do you create?
I am a horrible visual artist.
Oh,
Like, yeah,
okay.
pretty bad. Do we have time for a little side story?
Sure.
Okay. Senior year in high school, my dad was dating a fourth grade elementary school teacher.
Yeah.
And my senior art project was to find a poster and copy it in watercolor. And
Okay.
you trace out the shapes carefully, try to recreate it in watercolor and make it as real as you can.
Yeah.
And I bring it home. It's sitting on the table. It's still wet, mind you. Like, yeah, it's
Okay.
not quite dried yet. And this very sweet lady says, "Oh, look how cute that is. How old were you when you drew that?" I'm like, well, it's like right now. So that like
Oh,
artistic skills are very low.
okay.
Yeah. So
Okay. So
on
then
the
on the
creative side,
consumption, yeah.
like I've never tried to paint on a canvas or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, it'd be impressionistic, if anything. But on the consumption side, man, I really enjoy going through an art gallery, and I think, I mean, the paintings are very perplexing in how they can create an instant place and mood and an emotional location with color and shading and things. But for me, what's most perplexing is sculpture. I think
Nice.
I don't. I'm totally not familiar with the process. So I don't understand how they go from a chunk of marble to these statues and things. It's wild. They're bronze or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're gonna eat and you're gonna make food, are you gonna have food at home or are you gonna go out?
No, well, I prefer to cook at home,
Nice. What's your favorite
but
recipe?
um, it's really boring, honestly. Uh, when my kids are young, I cooked all kinds of stuff, but anymore, it's grass raised beef, uh,
Mm-hmm.
locally sourced and farm eggs, and whatever you can make with that. And I'll
Nice.
switch it up a little bit. You can do a lot of different things with eggs, but I'm trying to eat super clean as much as I can and fail often, but
We all
that
do. Yeah.
that's the direction I'm supposed to be going in to feel good. It really makes a difference. Um, yeah. So as far as regular things that I make at home, it's like that. But like I said, we're gone a lot.
On the road a
We'll
lot.
do, yeah. And one
Yeah.
of our vehicles will be like 60,000 miles a year. So
Nice.
we're we're hauling booty, and that means we're not home to cook. And so
Definitely.
I'm trying to recreate what I do at home in restaurants and things. Like, just give me a hamburger patty and a side of bacon, man. Just keep it simple. No gluten on it whatsoever.
Just
But
wrap it in some lettuce.
I don't even like lettuce. I
Oh,
think it's a bait pile. Like, vegetables are bait. Anyway,
right. That's just what you lure the cows in with, right?
sure.
Yeah. Guess you're on vacation. So generally, I imagine that you're on your motorcycle when you're on vacation.
It's a fair assumption, at least in the
Yeah.
summertime. Yeah.
If you had money, no object, what would be your ideal place to go on vacation?
Uh, well, for us, it would be I would want to buy enough time away from all of our businesses to be able to ride 50 states,
Nice.
you know.
Nice.
Um, yeah, it would take forever, but it'd be so fun. And a big part of me just wants to be that vagabond that just that guy disappeared for a while and came back different. You know.
That
I'm
so
yeah, I want to tour places and visit places and feel the frequency of the rocks and the mountains and be changed by it, and come
yeah.
back with my batteries recharged.
So
And,
nature.
yeah, yeah, I path, but Harleys don't really go off road all that well, so we have to compromise a little bit.
No, they don't.
You know, um,
No, no, no. We don't
yeah,
like gravel on a Harley. No, you
yeah.
wreck our feet. Thank you very much. No, 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 no.
One of my favorite, though, as an example, was we trailered out and camped in Sturgis, South Dakota.
Nice.
And it was just after the big rally there, so we caught like the tail end of that. But then the week afterwards, we had the roads to ourselves almost. There was hardly any traffic,
Nice.
and so we rode the Black
Yeah.
Hills and like where Mount Rushmore is, and all those roads are great condition for one, but beautiful, challenging,
Yeah.
just stupendous. I've ridden in California, um, in Florida. The Smoky Mountains is probably number two, but the Black Hills area, to me, that's the top. And so my goal is to find something that's even better than that. So if it exists, I don't know. It's going to be a hard one. So,
Nice.
yeah. Mhm.
Um, okay. So where can we find your music, Johnny? Your
Uh,
shows and how can we follow you?
yeah, bands in town. I've been utilizing bands in town in order to
Okay.
keep all the events in there. And that feeds into my website, which is
Yeah.
johnnyguestmusic.com. Um, all the recorded stuff is being released through Universal Music now, so that's going to all the streaming platforms. But for live performances, we stick to Michigan. We are doing some trips to New York State
Hmm.
on occasion. I'm talking to venues in Ohio and Indiana, and, neighboring.
Hmm.
It's just slow going. It takes a year to court a venue and have them figure out this guy's not going away unless I give him a date. How I
He's
look at
persistent.
it.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
you have to be
Yeah,
persistent.
have to be persistent.
Hmm.
Got to keep pushing. You got to keep making music. You got to keep writing. You got to keep putting it out there, right?
All of it. Yeah. Yeah.
And
I'm
it's
getting tired though. I need a motorcycle ride.
well, there you go. It's probably almost that time to go for a motorcycle ride, right, Johnny?
Well, it should be. Today we're painting in our house, so
Oh,
I'm getting ready to move, and that's no fun. Yeah.
that's no fun.
It's no fun. Yeah. So we'll put on some good music and rock out and get some painting done.
Yay. We
Hmm.
like painting. That's always fun. It's always fun to see what a place can look like with a fresh coat of paint.
Oh, it helps a lot. Yeah, for sure.
So I'd really like to thank you this morning, Jhonny Guest, for being our guest. Thank you so much. And our tagline for the show is I see, you see, we see, grazie.
Great. Love it.
So I'd really like to say thank you, Jhonny Guest, for being our guest on the show. Thank you to Big Records World for introducing us to all these amazing artists. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you to Universal Music Group. Um, Thank you for all of the listeners that have tuned in and taken an hour of their time to come and meet Jhonny Guest. And
Yeah.
we're just really grateful for all of these blessings. And thank you so much. So, do you want to try saying the tagline with me, Jhonny? So it's I see,
I
you
see.
see,
You see.
we see.
We see.
Grazie.
Grazie. There you go.
Grazie. Thank you so much, Jhonny.
Yeah. Thank you.
And
It's really fun.
thank you for Escape for producing us. So thank you. Grazie.